What's up? And welcome to the Hall Pass Uncut, guys. Welcome to the hallways. It's your girl, the Hall Monitor, and I missed y'all. I missed y'all a lot. I mean, I always miss y'all, even though it doesn't be that long, but yeah, I just miss you anyway. So I hope everybody is having an amazing March. I cannot believe it's March already. Like, I feel like the year just kind of flew by. The months are just kind of, January drags in itself already, but I think February just like came, went, and then now we're in March, and then now it's about to be April. So yeah, I just hope y'all taking some time. And for my educators, baby, hold on. Spring break is right up around the street, okay? Hold on. Stay in there. You can do it. Plan as much as you can. Idle time, no idle time, okay? Because then that allows them more space to cut the hell up. Okay, so per usual, it's just me though. It's been a minute since it's just been me. Been your girl. Jeez. So I just wanted to talk to you guys. No guests. We just really need to kind of chit chat. So I'm in my little comfy chair. I'm relaxing. I got my ankles crossed. So if your ankles aren't crossed, baby, cross them with me. If you're driving, hold on to the steering wheel, but turn me up a little more. Today literally is just called Be Present. Be present. And we're really going to go on the topic of like the importance of showing up in all aspects, like showing up in your family relationships, your friendships, your children's life, if you are a parent, and then also like your work community. Like, do you show up and do the best that you can, right? It is like super important to just be there, be present. And so we're going to talk about the dynamics of that, but also making sure that you're not being too present, because that is also another thing, to the point where your cup is now empty. You're pouring out to everyone else, trying to make sure that they feel comfortable and they feel good and comfortable. And, oh, you've been present, you've been here for me, but what about yourself? So we're going to go ahead and get into it. But as always, we have to do a rose and a thorn in my ass. Okay. So my rose is, what's my rose, y'all? What's going good? I'm here. Sometimes you just got to acknowledge the fact that you're here, alive and well. So that's my rose. Also, I'm getting both my girls. So my sissy and my bestie are coming this week. So they're going to visit with me. So that's my rose. I'm super excited for that. So I'll say my rose is definitely friendships. And then my thorn, pain in my ass would have to be educators who are taking up space. You're taking up space. And what I mean by taking up space is you're just showing up to work for the paycheck, not doing a damn thing. You're wasting my damn time, because now in my new role, I am now overseeing a few teachers, and really almost all for elementary and middle. And now I have to tell them about themselves. And some people don't care to hear about themselves or what they're doing wrong. And guess what? I don't give a damn, because at the end of the day, my job is to ensure that you are doing the best for the student. And if you're not, I'm going to call you out. Don't feel bad about it. I'm going to do it respectfully, but I'm also going to hold you accountable. So that would have to be the pain in my ass, is that it's really disheartening to see that some people, literally, the passion is gone, or the passion was never there. And so they're just here. Yeah. So going first and foremost, let's go with family. So being present and being there with family. I think sometimes people over exaggerate or have these high expectations of how family needs to show up for us. And so, for example, right, supporting your family when they need you, being on call when somebody needs you to be there. Of course, someone's in the hospital, there's a medical emergency, people are expecting you to be present and show up. Very important. But let's talk about the flip side. The simple fact that sometimes family just want too damn much. Sometimes you get trauma from being too present for your family, showing up a little too much, to the point where now you're drained and you can't break those generational curses, because you're so busy on trying to help them get over their past trauma. Enough is enough. I'm here to say it. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Can y'all hear me? Because at this point, now you're empty, now you're drained, and then now you've allowed that trauma to come back into your life. So I know you're saying, well, Monitor, how do I stop this? How do I put that barrier up? That's boundaries. Y'all know I love boundaries. I will never not love boundaries. Like, it's okay. There are hard conversations. Those are those uncomfortable conversations that you have to make comfortable. And you have to say, hey, I'm not going to be able to show up like this. This is how I'm able to show up. And for some people, we have to figure out what showing up looks like for us. Right? Really looking inward and figuring out, okay, am I going to be able to come over to their house every doggone day, cook, clean, do everything like that, and then go and do my stuff? Probably not. So you can't show up in that way. Just how somebody else in your family, too, stop comparing yourself. Just because your cousin poo-poo, they don't have a job, so they can be present a little more often. Don't compare yourself. You can't do that. Your present is not their present. Your show up is not their show up. And that's perfectly okay. Right? So figuring out what showing up looks like for me. Then going ahead and putting those boundaries, and then going ahead and communicating it. Some of us, we go ahead and we look inward, we figure out what it is, but then we forget to communicate it to the person that we need to communicate it to. Speak up. Speak up and speak out. It is okay. Yes, don't say that, Hall Monitor said you wouldn't get mad. No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. Somebody's going to be a little salty, possibly. Let them be. Sometimes we even have to take a break from our family. Okay? Listen. And that's okay to do, right? That's okay to go ahead and put that away. But also, too, going right, because I always play devil's advocate. So, right, there's a time where you can show up too much, become too present, not putting in those boundaries. But then there's also sometimes we're not doing enough because we're holding on to something. Some of us are holding something over our families and we're not even realizing it, that we're punishing them. And so then we're missing out on those times, those important memories, rebuilding. And then that actually is causing more havoc in our life because we're holding on to all this anger. And now you can't move on. So then you can't be present in other things in your life. You can't be present in friendships because you're still holding on to things that have to do with your family, that are trickling down into other parts and aspects of your life. So again, we need to look inward, be mindful, then we can be present, right? Because I know I've learned one day somebody's here and then the next day they're not. So we have to pick our battles and we have to communicate. Let's go to friends. Friends. How many of us have them? Friends? No. Literally, I think it's a big thing. Some people always say like, I need a friend that when I call, they're Johnny on the spot. I need a friend that no matter where I am or where they are, they're always going to pull up. And I think there comes a point in time where we all have to grow the hell up. Like, let's be real. If you are actively working, actively trying to build a business or any of the sort, if you have a sick family member or you also have kids, there is no possible way, honey, that you are going to be able to be that friend. But here's where people, are you listening? Drop the ball. Communication. What does this look like to you? What does a friendship look like to you? Like, let's go ahead and you know how when you date, and hear me out, hold on, there's a point to this. You know how when you date, right? You have conversations and you're like, what are your values? What are your interests? What do you like? What kind of person are you? Blah, blah, blah. We need to start doing friendship interviews. How are you? What do you value in a friendship? What's important to you? Are you a homebody or are you not? Like, these things they still matter in friendship conversations. We need to know, because some of y'all are not compatible and y'all keep trying to force this friendship. That's not your friend. And you don't even want to be friends with them. So y'all are wasting each other's time and putting all this present energy into something that you don't even need to show up for. I'm going to just go ahead and say it because it needs to be said. So let's start normalizing communication on friendships and what friendships mean to me. Do I want to be friends with you? Do I not want to be friends with you? What do you value? So I know how I can be present for you, how I need to show up. Then I can know too. Here's another thing. When we get mad at someone, i.e. our friend, because they didn't show up for us how we wanted them to, they don't know. We just assume that, oh, since you're my friend, you should already know. When you've never communicated that, you've never stated how you expect them to show up, and then all of a sudden when they do, or when they don't, that, oh, I'm not talking to them. The friend don't even know why you're not talking to them. They're trying to figure out what happened. And you at the crib mad. But you're the only one who's upset. Because they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So communicate that. Normalize dating your friend. Date your friend. Find out before we just jump to conclusions or jump into these friendships. And friendships can be traumatizing. They can also be detrimental. Like, I was actually healing and then I became friends with you and now I'm going backwards. I also feel like interpretation is real. Like how you interpret something may be different than someone else's interpretation or perspective. My view on something could be totally different. Like for me, I'm not a sometimes friend. I'm not that friend that I'm going to sometimes tell you the truth and I'm going to sometimes not. Some people operate that way. I'm not a sometime friend in the sense that, oh, okay, I understand. You only want to be my friend. You only want to be my friend when we want to go to concerts. Or you only want to be my friend when we're doing this, that, and the third. I'm an all the time friend. Like, I feel like if I consider you my friend, like we can talk about things. We can hang out if we want to. We can go to a concert. And then that's it. You know, and some people, you know, to each his own. Some people say, well, I have a friend that I only go to concerts with, a friend that I only do this with, and a friend that, I don't have the mental capacity or the time to compartmentalize all that shit. You're either going to be an all around friend or you're not. But also, again, I'm that friend where we don't have to talk every day. My best friend and I do not talk every day. And she lives in a whole nother state. And it's no bad blood. Locked in. Ain't no switching up. But I don't have to be on the phone all the time. We don't have to know each other's whereabouts all the time. Either we do share locations, baby. I can zoom in at any time. Play with me if you want. But other than that, you know, I'm not attached to the hip. We both have our lives. We both have things to do. And baby, real quick, one thing about hall monitor, I don't play about my sleep. I don't. They know. During the school week, by 8 o'clock, I'm not picking up the phone. So if you're calling me past 8, you don't know me for real. Because you know damn well I'm not picking up that phone. I'm not picking it up because I really don't have anything to talk about. And I honestly don't even know if I make sense past 7:30 because I've already used my brain cells from the morning until about 4 o'clock when I get out of school. I don't have nothing for you. Nothing. And it might not make sense. So again, do my friends know that? Hell yeah. Have I communicated that? Hell yeah. So stop getting mad when you did not communicate this to your friend, quote unquote friend, and then now they're looking at you like, why not answer my phone calls? Well, you never communicated to them that you don't like talking on the phone past 7. I'm just saying. Be honest, be truthful, and be real with yourself. I'm going to let y'all go ahead because that was a lot to digest. Okay? I'm going to let you hold it. Breathe for a second. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about what it looks like when not showing up and the repercussions, the pros and cons to not showing up. And then also how that affects students, children, and those who are pouring into them. Go ahead, take a break, and meet me back in the hallways. Bye.
These kids say anything else.
They keep on
I ain't going to lose my mind. Did I pay the light bill?
You want me to keep on?
Oh my God. What time? What time does he have on? Oh my goodness. I forgot to sign up for karate. Oh my God. Okay. The dishes are not going to do themselves.
You go to bed at 9. You can still get 8 hours of sleep.
Have you or a loved one experienced feelings of stress, burnout, or wondered if maybe you're the red flag?
Do you sometimes feel like everyone else has life figured out while you're just trying to keep your plants alive?
If you answer yes to either of these questions, you may be entitled to get your shit together.
Queen's Arsenal is a revolutionary podcast designed to destigmatize mental health with real conversations, accountability challenges, and a healthy dose of cognitive reframing. So, if you're tired of self-care advice that just tells you to drink more water or meditate, we've got you covered.
At Queen's Arsenal, we go beyond the surface, dive into relatable stories and tools that actually help you get your mind right.
So why suffer in silence? Tune in to season 2 of Queen's Arsenal, where mental health is made approachable, humorous, and refreshingly real.
Because you don't need another bubble bath, you need Queen's Arsenal.
Side effects may include spontaneous self-reflection, unplanned journaling, the sudden urge to set boundaries, and an unexpected desire to finally address the thing that you've always been putting off. Listeners have reported increased clarity, heightened self-awareness, and occasional moments of, wow, I really needed to hear that. Queen's Arsenal is not responsible for any self-realizations, relationship audits, or life epiphanies that may occur. Subscribe now to Queen's Arsenal Season 2, coming soon to all podcast platforms. You may be entitled to get your life together. If you or someone you know is ready to embrace radical self-awareness, face a few uncomfortable truths, and finally stop procrastinating on your personal growth, Queen's Arsenal might just be the place to start. Listen responsibly, as side effects may be irreversible and could lead to a life you're actually excited about.
Hey, welcome back. Whew. Why y'all ain't tell me I was talking real fast too? Y'all know how I'm out to get going. When I'm passionate, it gets a little fast. So if you have to slow me down, back up, and rewind, it's okay. But I'm going to take my time this time, okay? So we left off, right, the topic of being present, right? And what that looks like for certain people, what that looks like as far as family, relationships, children, and work community. So we've already covered family. We have already covered friends. Well, we might double back, but I need to tap in to children. Listen here. This is from, an educator's perspective and point of view. And the reason why I really wanted to talk about this too is because it showed up a lot over the past 2 weeks. And I'm like, you know what? I need to cover this. As I'm at a new school, and I'm building rapport with students, connecting with different grade levels. This is that and the third. There's one student. I said all the troublesome students always find me. I don't know. Maybe that's just because they know that I'm going to love them and try to help them get their life together. So this student literally is, he just came back from suspension, right? Or as he liked to call, vacation, which I had to clearly get him together and say, it's not vacation, it's suspension. So comes back from suspension and realizes that the project for literacy night is due that same day. He comes back. So he comes to me and he's like, I just feel like, you had my back. And just could you help me figure out something? Like, could you help me? I just need to print a few things and just help me formulate what I read into words. Like I could tell you, but I just don't know how to put it together. First of all, this child is in 8th grade. So it's like, wow, they need help putting together a summary, right? Which we know, those educators out there, you know how bad it is. You know how hard these students are struggling just over foundational skills. So that's that. So we're talking, we're laughing, I got some music playing and I'm still making him do the work, but I'm also assisting, doing things like that. We're putting stuff on the poster board and blah, 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 blah. And then it comes to, the topic came up about parents coming for literacy night. And so he mentioned his parent. He was like, I left the book at home that I want to hold while I'm presenting. And he was like, I'm going to call my dad and my dad's going to come up here and blah, blah, blah. He was like, you know what? I really would love if my parents actually stayed to support me. And I'm like, really? So again, the educator way, the social worker way, tell me more. So I'm like, okay, yeah, what you mean? He said, I'm going to be honest. He stood back and he looked at the project, right, when it was all done. And he was like, I'm proud of myself. I said, as you should be, I said, he was like, even though you started late, this was supposed to have been done. I said, but you still came in here and made it a point to try to get it done. I said, so you know what? You picked up the ball and you kept going. I'm proud of you. He said, yeah. He was like, but the sad part is, he said, nobody's going to be here to see it. And I said, what you mean? I said, I'm going to be here. The other teachers are going to be here. And he was like, yeah, which I appreciate. But the people that I want, like my parents, aren't going to be here. He said, they don't support me. He was like, and if I could tell them, look what I did, he said, they won't be proud. That part broke me, because the fact that he was, one, able to articulate that, and two, feel a safe enough space to tell me, it says a lot. But that is also why I'm saying, be present. Be present for these children, because it's so important and imperative that you do so, because that follows them. When you don't show up in their life, or if you don't show up for things that are important to them, not important to you, right? Because sometimes we have to check ourselves as adults. We will prioritize what we think should be important versus what they actually feel is important as well. So if your child is having some type of fair or something of that nature, and you're like, I'm pretty sure they won't care, I'm pretty sure they will. And for him to be yearning for that, and a Black male communicating that, is big. And I just felt so bad. Like, my heart hurt for him, because he had the straightest face, no laughter, no anything. And he just sat there in silence. Like, it really hit home. And so then I checked in with him today, and I was like, did your parents end up coming? And he was like, you know what? They didn't. I said, well, I want you to know that I'm proud of you. I loved what you did. And I said, do you feel good about it? He said, yeah. I said, well, then that's all that matters. I said, and did you get the grade? He said, hell yeah. I said, all right, hell yeah, then. We good. We're green. So that was a big thing for me. And so I think people forget that as a child, those memories matter. And some of us understand that, sometimes being able to show up for like field trips or things like that. Like, I had working parents. So I always crack the joke that my parents never went on a field trip. If you're listening, you never went on a field trip. And I told them that. You're like, no, remember that one time? You're making it up. That was not me. I don't know if you have another child. That was not me. Okay? You did not come to field trips. And I understood that, right? At the end of the day, yes, I was sad, but then I had to realize they were working and things like that. But they showed up for other things. Like, I was a sports kid, so they could make it to games because it was after school. And so even if my mom couldn't make it, like, my dad was there, or if he had to miss a game, he would make sure that he would get me prepped for the game. Right. So like, he would help me lay out my clothes. We would find like my new basketball shoes. We would pick out the socks that I was going to be cool with. He would buy me like the little sweatbands. Y'all know nothing about that. The little Nike thick sweatbands, like them thick boys. So any drop of sweat, it was getting caught right at the forehead. Yeah. So, things like that. And those memories stuck with me, because it was like, wow, like, I had support. Though that was my support system. And even though they couldn't be physically there in certain instances, they made up for it in other ways. Or even the simple thing of like doing homework with your child. I think people forget like the importance of that, like sitting at the table and like actually talking to them. Or even as simple as, how was your day? And not taking good for an answer. Like, what did you do? I think you also need to realize that helps with development. That's why some of these kids' vocabulary is about as short as their attention span. Good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. No. That's all your kid know how to say. It was good because my favorite subject today was, one thing I learned today was. Also tuning in, because guess what? This is how you can find out if they're getting bullied. Or if they don't like a teacher, or if they're having friendship problems, so show up, be present, as it is important. And then here's the heavy hitter, is the fact that then it not only sticks with the student, but now the student has a higher expectation for the teacher. Let's talk about it. As if parents had already have this high expectation that basically we're first in command and y'all are second. No, fucker. Y'all have to be the fucking parent too. We are not the parent. We're the teacher. We're here to learn, keep your baby safe while they are here, and do our best. Yes, I might give him a side hug here and there. Yes, I might share things. Don't worry. Like, Miss Lori, I connect. Okay? If you know the home editor, you know I connect with you all the time. But I'm also, it's still in your wheelhouse to connect with your child. Not just me. Don't leave it up to me. Because then I see these babies now, and even with the child that I'm connecting with, now he looks for me every day. Because I'm showing up for him. But now he has higher expectations. So when I get busy in my day and I'm like, you can't visit my office today, he has an attitude. Oop. Phew. Bless me. He gets attitude, y'all, like a straight attitude. And I have to then explain to him, home monitor has to work too. It's not that I don't care. I just can't be in this moment right now. I can't sit and chill with you right now. I got to make a living. I got to do my job. But he's looking at that like it's just reminding him of when my parents don't show up for me or what I'm thinking that somebody should support. So now he's blurring the lines between a teacher and a parent. Lines get blurred all the time because of where you lack at home. So now this is why the educators say that they wear many hats because we're picking up the slack from you. Be present. So then now it's causing more tension, more animosity in my classroom because this child is expecting my full undivided attention with all 30 other students. Or if you might be a DPS, 40 plus students. So being present matters. Showing up matters. And then let's talk about work community, right? Showing up there. And I'm going to call out those little lazy buttholes that come to work and don't do a damn thing. Show the hell up and do your job and take care of your end of the bargain. Because those who are actually coming to work and doing their job, we're tired. Our cup is now empty because we're so busy pouring into yours and cleaning up your slack because you're not doing what you're supposed to do on the job. You're not putting in your half. You're not putting in your 50%. Granted, I'm not saying that things don't happen, life happens, or whatever the case may be, but also you need to be present as well. You know you have to work. You know a job has to get done. You know what portion you have to do of the job. Just do it. Because then now there's work tension, there's issues, and then now you don't have any coworker friends. Nobody's having your back. No one's looking out for you because you're not showing up and being present. But then let's talk about the other people who need to stop showing up so much. Sometimes you have to let the ball drop a little bit and let that person get exposed. I know it gets confusing depending on the line of work that you're in. And you feel like, well, if I drop the ball, then everything goes downhill. Okay, I understand. But there has to be some little wiggle room to where that person realizes that if you don't do what you do, then nothing goes. Nothing stays afloat. So there comes a point where you have to stop being so present. You have to stop showing up completely. Like giving it your all to the point where you're down bad. It's not fair. It's not fair. Sometimes we are overworking ourselves. Working beyond our contract hours. Way beyond. Set those boundaries. I'm talking to you. Why are you looking at me crazy? Or listening to me shaking your head talking about, ooh, are you? Yes, I'm reading you. I'm talking to you and I'm telling you what to do. Please set those boundaries, stand up, and be present for yourself. Being present for yourself is number one. Then you can be present in all these other spaces. Work community is huge because if you think about it, if you have a job, half or majority of your day is where? In the workspace. So it's important and imperative, one, hopefully you're at a space that you love, but also two, how you show up. Stop doing other people's work. I'm talking to somebody. Stop doing other people's job. Also, if you have an instructor position, hold other people accountable. I don't care. I'm very direct. I'm very nice. But at the end of the day, especially in the line of work that I do, I know that I do these for these kids. So I'm going to call people out. Hey, I really need you to kind of do your job because the students are suffering. Hey, I really need you to follow this deadline because the students are suffering. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's how I feel. That's what it is. That's what I said. I said what I said. I just feel like we all need to take a step back and remember what it means to show up and how much we can show up in all these different aspects. Even as a parent, even as an educator, right? Like, okay, we're talking about showing up for these children. I understand you need time for yourself. So like, come up with the schedule. Come up with time where I'm going to set time away to do something with my child. I'm going to set time away to do this, or I'm going to set time for somebody else to be there. Something. Because honestly, I would love to do a survey for educators to fill out and say like, when my student's parents doesn't show up, how does it affect my classroom? And I guarantee you, they can say the students' parents who are absent, it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference in the sense that, again, parents, the teachers are now trying to overcompensate for things that you can't show up for. So now the teacher has to do extra social emotional learning time. They have to give extra hugs. They have to spend more time with your kids. And then that's where lines blur. So then now it's taking things away from instruction. And then it also sometimes I have witnessed jealous parents. There are some parents who get jealous of the teacher. How you jealous of me when I'm really doing your job because you don't do it? How you mad because your child has more of a connection to me than you? And I'm not even doing anything out of the ordinary. I'm just shouting them out when they do well in class, checking in, asking them how you feel today on a scale of 1 to 10, giving them a high five and saying, I love you. Have a good day at the end of the day. You would be surprised how many kids who don't hear that. I love you. Have a good day. Be safe. I always say that every time our kids leave. Every time. I love you. Be safe. Have a great day. And at first, like that first week, they're like, what? I wanted it for real. Yeah. Next thing you know, by the end of the year, they're beating me to the punch. I love you. Have a good day, hall monitor. Be safe. I'm looking at them like, what? You the kid. But I appreciate that. So when we come back, as we wrap it up, we're going to talk about ways that we put in those boundaries, but then we're also going to end with self showing up. How do we do that for ourselves? What does that look like? How to implement it and how to stick to it. Meet me back in the hallways and bring a friend. Peace. Woo! Y'all heard that? Hall monitor had to get some water. Okay? Because first of all, dear allergies, screw you. Yeah, that's really all I have for that. But welcome back to the hallways, y'all. If you're just joining us, we are talking about being present, showing up in all aspects and different aspects of life. We're talking about family. We're talking about friends. We're talking about children. And we're also talking about work community. And so I told you after we've already talked about each of those categories, we have to end with self. We have to end with self and what that looks like and tips and tricks. I'm not going to say I have a magic wand, or I'm not going to say I have the perfect answer. But what I can do is offer you advice, right? So come close and take a seat in the hallway. I would say, again, the biggest thing that we've just talked about is communication. communicating, right? Dating our friends, figuring out what it means to date our friends, figuring out if we have the same value. Do we both have the same idea of friendship? What does it look like to show up for both of us? What does it look like? What matters to me, right? Another thing would have to be checking in with myself, figuring out what I can handle. What can I handle? What can I not handle? What's too much for me? What's just enough? Right? Another thing I would definitely have to say that works for me is I set timers. I legit set timers, or I just take a specific time of my day as an educator and I just separate myself. Like, whether it's like 5 minutes of my prep time, whether it is making sure I'm getting to work earlier than the bell, cough, cough, slip, slip, to ensure that I just take that time, whether it's like blast music, whether it's take my time, because I know that my students are going to be a little needy, right? Because I have absent parents. And so I know that I'm going to have to give them a little more love. And so in order for me to give love, I have to give myself love. And so my love time is either before school, during my prep, or at the end. So that way I'm able to do the same thing, right? That way I'm able to give 100% or all that I can to my students during the time that I see them. So if you are an educator and you're realizing like, oh, dang, this connection of absent parent and needy child is a real thing, and now they have these random expectations of me, what can I do? You can create boundaries. You can create times. And then also having an open conversation with your class. Miss such and such can only do so much. Miss such and such is your teacher. Yes, this is a safe space, but also you have to realize that I'm human too. I used to tell my students that all the time. Realize that the hall monitor is still human. When you have down days, so do I. I don't take them out on you, but also I need some time. I need some space just how you need space. Also, I have to help everybody else. So I can't always give you that one-on-one stuff that you may need. Right? And then also a tip would be revisiting. As we get older and life changes, different seasons occur, we may need things at different times. Or our show up may dwindle down at different times. Communicate it. Because yes, even with like friendships, right? I'm going to go with friendships in particular. Let's say you take my advice and you date your friend, right? You date your friend in a sense where you communicate how you expect somebody to show up for you, what matters to you the most, blah, blah, blah. But then you get to a point where you're at a season in your life where a lot is happening. A lot is happening. It's hard for you to communicate it, and you just need time. Communicate that to your friend, y'all. Communication is the root of all things. Communicate that. So then that way, that trust isn't broken. No assumptions are being placed on anybody, and no one's feeling some type of way. And I know what you're thinking. Sometimes I just don't feel like talking. Okay, but when you're ready, do so, because I really need you to think about it. The shoe is on the other foot. Think about it. I'm also not telling you to over communicate, because sometimes we over communicate. Hey, I'm so sad. Hey, I'm so this. Hey. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying one time fix. Hey, I just need some time. Don't worry about it, girl. Still love you. Blah, blah, blah. Then come back. Set some time. And then the tip for parents, guardians, mentors. You have a busy life. Please use a schedule. Stick to something, because again, not showing up can be the most harmful thing you can do. Not showing up for a child can stick with them. Talk to your kid and figure out what showing up looks like for them. What's important? And then do so. That's it. Sometimes your kids can be very simple. And they're like, I just wanted you to give me a high five. Or I just want you to talk to me for 5 minutes after school and then I'm done. That's it. Just show up. Help us educators out. And then for those jealous parents, Step up. Hell, step the hell up. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at your damn self. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. No, but genuinely. And remember that for the final thing, showing up does not mean being someone else's crutch. Whether that's your family, your friend, your community, it doesn't mean being someone else's crutch. That's not what it means. So set those boundaries, but set them accordingly. I don't care what anybody says. That mean when that lady's like, I gotta put me first. Put yourself first. And it's not selfish. It's selfless. Because if I'm realizing that if I'm not here for myself, I cannot be here for you. So figure out what that looks like. Stop being so quick to be at somebody's every beck and call. And make sure you communicate that with said family, said friend, or whatever. Even your job. Because sometimes these jobs will break you. And you have to realize that for some of these jobs, you are just a number. You are just a number that they can X off the list. You are disposable. I'm going to be real. Yes, you could be the most unique or the most bomb person at your job, but you are still disposable. So take care of you. Do what you need to do for you. And if you can't, that might not be the place for you. Or that might not be your version of a show up. Do not be the crutch. So, your homework, right? Next time I catch you in these hallways with your hall pass, I expect for you to tell me how you have shown up for either yourself this week or for your family or for your friend. How have you shown up? How have you become present? And I don't mean like, oh, I was there for them here, I was there for them there. For some of us, it might mean I was able to communicate to my family that I won't be able to come all the time, but I love them. Or I was able to communicate to my friend that showing up for me doesn't mean I have to hold the phone or fall asleep on the phone with you. I don't operate that way. Even in your love relationships. Okay? Some of us are wanting too much because you're trying to have them fill your childhood void. No. That's just your partner. That's not your mommy or your daddy. It's not. It's your partner. And they're human too, and they also have a life. So they can't be there for you all day, every day, 24/7. Okay? So we're going to check in. But before I let you go, that's your homework. Make sure you comment. Put it under the YouTube. Put it on Insta, wherever you like. The Hall Pass Uncut, whichever floats your boat. Message me. I need an update. Second thing is, if you know a girl who loves basketball, 14 and up, you are going to make sure that you have them April 3rd. Let me get the address. I got y'all. Don't even worry about it. I got you. April 3rd from 5 to 7. They are going to be at 2631 Bagley Street, Detroit, for Heat Wave AAU team. It's going up and it's going down. So April 3rd, make sure if you're 14 and up, you bring them to tryouts. Remember that the Hall Monitor loves you. Peace, love, and hair grease.